Hi, guys, welcome back to the Love of God podcast, where we talk about everything Christ centered and our experiences with Him. I'm so happy you guys are here. I'm your faithful host, Dorinda, and this is the part 5 of the Prodigal Daughter. So, the last time we spoke, we were talking about the fact that um, I just came out of the NICU and I just remember crying and it was such a hard time, guys. Like coming home from having a baby where you don't have the hospital umbrella anymore, no one to help you anymore. Um, it was very hard. Like I cried every single day and I literally didn't think I could do it, but God really came through for me. Before that, anyway, I started to get a bit depressed. I started avoiding my pastor's call because my pastor was one of those people that really, really helped me a lot while I was pregnant. I literally spoke to him every single day. He actually chose my son's middle name for me. It's funny because he used to call my son Elijah before he was born. When he was in my stomach, he was Elijah. And then when he was born, he looked at him and was like, "This is Joshua." So I was so confused because I thought, huh? Like Joshua, that's very weird. But let's just fast forward to the fact that I think around the time my son was like 8 months, I actually got deeper and deeper into depression. I felt very alone. My partner and I at the time, we were having our issues, and I just fell deep into depression, man. I couldn't deal with anything, so I fell off the wagon. And if you know what that means, it means I genuinely started smoking again, which was not one of my finest moments because I was doing so well all throughout pregnancy. Even after he was born, I was still trying to stay away from it, and it just caught me off guard. Like I said, I was avoiding my pastor, I was avoiding everybody. Like I was truly just in my brain, you know? So one day I was going through my own motions, but at the same time I was like, let me just open my Bible. I don't know what actually prompted me to do it, but I just felt like I'm tired of feeling like I hate myself. What I'm doing, why is this smoking thing just grabbing me by my neck like that? This is not what I wanted. I didn't want to do it. I was just doing it because I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control my depression, and I just wanted everything to just stop, you know? And you know, if you're a smoker, you know that it's nice once or twice and then it starts losing the effect. So after a while, I wasn't smoking to enjoy the weed or whatever. I was just stuffing my face for no reason. So I opened my Bible and I always wondered why my pastor named my son Joshua. And it never really clicked to me. I never really read the story about Joshua before. So that night, I opened my Bible and I tried to read the whole story about Joshua, and everything just started to make sense. Like I was just like, okay, Joshua was the successor of Moses, and he gave him that name. God gave him that name, Yeshua, which means God is your salvation. And I felt like, wow, like my son saved me from practically suicide. I'm not gonna lie to you. And now it's my turn to do my part, you know? I felt like it was so accurate. Like Joshua is God's way of saving me. And I know that saying where people always say like God won't come down from heaven and save you. No, he might not do that, but he will send his people. He might come in the form of your son, it might come in the form of your mom, it might come in the form of a friend. My case was my son, you know, and I just had a whole new meaning of life, and I just said, Okay. It's time. It's actually time for me to change my life, and this time for good. Like, no going back. Like, just put your faith in God and that's just call it a day. So that was my turning point, and I laid there thinking, God wants me here, and He wouldn't put me here for no reason. And I started to listen to a lot of sermons online. I used to listen to a lot of Stephen Darby, especially. He was one of my favorites pastors. RIP to him as well, because he actually is no longer with us. But his videos started going viral about a year ago, and his sermons were so real, so raw, literally what I needed to hear at the time. Like that tough love type of sermon, not the feel good sermons, and I just started picking back up. I was like a Christian on steroids. Like I was like, yes, he's saying everything. And he explains things. I really recommend people to listen to Stephen. He's one of the best pastors I've seen, and it's so sad that he didn't live long enough to see the impact of his preaching. I know a lot of people that know him as well. I don't think if you're a proper not saying proper Christian, because Stephen is that guy. You need to know that guy. If you're a Christian shy, you need to go and know that guy. So I started working on quitting again. This time I didn't want to go cold turkey, because I feel like that's one of the reasons I keep falling off the wagon. I took time, I allowed God to guide me. I even sought professional help to teach me how to control my cravings. And so one day, a day before my son's birthday, I actually broke down. I broke down and I said, God, I can't do this by myself. I couldn't do it. It was, as much as I had all the information, I was going to the AA meeting, I was doing everything that I could possibly do, spacing out my cravings and stuff like that. So eventually I was like, I just want to stop, and I want to stop for good. So I went on my knees and I started crying. I said, God, I surrender myself to you. I give my life to you. If you help me with this, I will forever serve you. I'll forever be grateful. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be like this. This is not who I am. This is not what you've put me on this earth to do. I was just praying to him. I was just begging, more like begging and wailing, crawling on the floor, crying. And I didn't want my son to grow up with a mom that was addicted to anything, period. I don't care if it's food, I don't care if it's weed, I don't care, no alcohol, none of that. I just want him to have a good example of who his mother was. And not saying that I'm perfect. No, I'm not perfect in any shape or form, but I know the kind of vision I want to give to my son. I know the kind of life I want to give to my son, and I can't do it with an addiction. It just wasn't going to work. So that was the turning moment for me. That was a day I completely, utterly quit. So I didn't smoke. I even told myself, I'm not smoking on my son's birthday. That's just disrespectful, because I'm doing all of this for him. That day went, I didn't smoke. The next day, didn't smoke. And I carried on like that. And we're coming up on a year of being sober. So I'm very happy about that. I did it all by myself. I know how to. I feel like with the help of God, obviously, and the hard work that I put in and seeking professional help and understanding my cravings and why I even smoke in the first place, and accepting the fact that I can't run away from my dreams, which is another reason I used to smoke. Like, my dreams were coming back heavy, and instead of running away from them, I started to try to make sense of them, because I felt like God wouldn't allow me to be seeing these things if He wasn't trying to tell me something. And I started reading a lot about dreamers in the Bible, and just trying to understand instead of being consistently confused, because confusion is not from God at all. And then after I finished the program, my son's dad and I decided to break up. But before we even got there, I started abstaining from sex as well, because I felt like that's what God wanted me to do at the time. It affected our relationship, but not that much, because he's not that type of guy to care that much about sex. He's more of a very emotional person, and I didn't have the emotions at the time. We already had our issues, and mentally I had checked out because I wanted to just focus on bettering myself, and there was no room for anything else. Bettering myself and being there for my child, and that was my main focus, my main priority, and anything else can come after, because since I've already done things backwards, I might as well do the same thing. Like, I might as well carry on and I felt like God wanted me to do that. God literally told me, like, this is not where you're meant to be. And when I say he told me, like, he was showing me everything in my dreams, everything. Like, I think the next segment is going to be about dreams and my dreams and how they have affected me. And guys, my dreams anyway, my friends are my witness, because every time I have these dreams, they're the first people I call, just crying and confused. And ever since I was young, it's always been a thing. So he was just showing me things, putting me in places that taking me out of places that I needed to get out of. And the relationship was one of those things that I needed to get out of. I needed to learn how to be by myself. I needed to just obey God, and that's when I started to learn that it's better to obey him than find myself in a situation that I don't want to be in. And then I start crying and begging God all over again. So I know it sounds bad that, the relationship ending didn't affect me that much, because like I said, emotionally I had kind of checked out. But the hardest part was being alone, and that's where the problem was. I hated being alone, and it's not fair to be in a relationship with someone just for the fact that you didn't want to be alone, and it really put a strain on the relationship as well, because I was constantly paranoid. I was very controlling. There was always something, so I needed to learn how to just be myself, be alone, and just protect my mental health at the same time. So I also feel like my friends were very supportive. I truly believe I wasn't completely alone, in a sense where, like, maybe physically I was alone, but emotionally I had really good support system. Like, my sister-in-law is one of my most supportive, super supportive friends. I had two other friends that were very much there for me, always spoke to me. I would spend hours on the phone with them, just talking and just telling them how my day was. And sometimes we would mainly talk about God as well. And it was beautiful. That was literally what I needed at the time. I just needed the right type of people around me, people that would sharpen me and make me stronger. So that's that. So now that I'm single, I had to start figuring out how to be alone. Although I had amazing people around me, I definitely felt the absence of someone. I felt like I liked coming home to someone, or someone coming home to me. I'm a relationship babe. That was my thing. So that was interesting, but I also did not put too much emphasis on sex, because my fear of disobeying God was way too high up there. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. I think I lost my whole entire sex drive, period. I don't think I know how to have sex anymore. I've completely forgot. So that one was something that was not high, like a big priority. Because every time I prayed, I remembered God. I remember what He needs me to do. I started reading my Bible. I stayed on the phone to my friends talking about God for hours. I focused on bidding for a bigger flat because the apartment I was in was a studio and it was too small for me and my son. So I had to go through that process. And during that process of me bidding, I had this neighbor. I had this neighbor that was always playing loud music every day. And I'm telling you guys this story because I want you guys to understand the importance of just not allowing people to not allowing people to make you angry and in return you end up angering God. Because you could have your blessings lined up, but if you keep allowing people to provoke you and not follow His way, it will take you longer to get to where you need to be. So he was always playing loud music. He was always waking up my son. It was always an issue. And we always had arguments. Like it would not stop. So one day he started playing music very early in the morning and he didn't stop through the afternoon. And I literally said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to let this guy get to me. I'm not going to let him provoke me. And remember I told you I'm a Taurus. Spirit of anger is literally, well, that's what I used to think I was. And I said, no, you're not going to revoke that spirit out of me. It's not going to be me. I don't want that spirit inside of me. No way. So I got myself ready. I even saw him outside when I was walking past. I just smiled. I greeted him and I kept him moving. And so then I took me and my son for a walk. And as I was out, I got an email saying that one of my bids for the flat has been accepted. And guys, I was so happy. I was so happy. I was jumping in public. I was so excited. I was like, God, and I literally was singing gospel in public. I was that happy. I was that excited. I was so grateful. I ran upstairs. I sent in all the documents via the email, told them everything. Everything was signed. Everything was ready, And even after that, I still prayed and I still thanked God. And I knew it was Him. I knew it had to have been God, truly. So after finishing So basically, I did a fast before. That's how I'm telling you guys how I knew it was God, because I did a fast 2 weeks before I got this email. And I remember after finishing this fast, I was kind of sad. I was kind of disappointed that nothing's happening. I was like, God, I'm doing it now. I'm doing everything you want me to do. Why is it not happening for me? And I just remember Him saying, like, in my own time, daughter, in my own time, it's not going to be up to you. It's going to be up to me. And that's why when that guy was trying to provoke me, I just said, you know what? You're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. So 2 weeks after all the paperwork was done, I moved out of my old flat. And it was so beautiful because I turned 29 2 days after, and it was like a little birthday present. It was so beautiful, guys. Like, I can't even tell you. I would have moved in earlier to make sure I spent my 29th birthday in the house, but we had to get the flooring and everything right, and the painting, which my son's dad helped me with. He did all the painting, did all the flooring, the carpeting, everything, so it's safe enough for me and Tristan to move in. And I just felt so relieved. I just felt so like the stress that I've had in that old house, and there was a lot of negative memories there as well. So it was such a fresh start for me, and I was so grateful to God, because I don't know a lot of people that get moved out a year after being on the bidding list, because I never really bidded before. That was actually my first time ever bidding, and it took us less than a year to actually get out of that house. So that was truly God's work. And so after I moved out, I haven't strayed from God. I've tried to keep the same path that I've been on. I felt so relieved. I started gaining weight because I lost so much weight due to stress being in that house. And although I used to be skinny, I didn't like myself being skinny. Like I didn't like it. Once you add up, once you gain weight, you want to keep the weight, like especially when it looks good on you. So losing the weight was not an option. So I started gaining weight again. I started feeling better about myself. I was taking care of myself. And God, while I was in the new flat, God put it in my heart, or should I say put it in my dream. See, that's why I'm so happy that I started accepting my dreams and started understanding my dreams, because he was like, since you're not running away with it, I'm going to use it to communicate with you. So he showed me a dream where I was running a successful skincare business. I started a new skincare line not long after I moved in. I had a big kitchen to work with. I had so much space. My son could run around and I can be busy doing my thing. Although I was still taking 1 or 2 clients for nails in the new flat, I was mainly focusing on the skincare line. I mainly just do body butters and body scrubs. I'll be plugging myself very soon, but this is not the time. So I started that. That was something that I could focus on. I love a new project. That's my thing. I love a good project, honey. And I loved the humble beginnings and just starting off from scratch. The business was doing quite well. A lot of people patronized me. It was so nice. I'm still running it. I'm trying to get the branding together, and I feel like I'm starting to get too much into my own head, which is what I normally tend to do. But it's not left my heart. It's still gonna be going on. So although I was worried about bills, because having a bigger house means bigger bills, I knew that God was going to take care of me. I felt like I just needed to rest. As much as I wanted to get back to work, one, I wasn't ready to put my son in nursery just yet. And two, I feel like I was always on survival mode. I was always trying to survive, always trying to be okay, that I completely forgot that I can just relax. Like, God has been taking care of things. He really has been taking care of things. And for a long time, I've never really surrendered everything to him. And that is literally where I am today. Yes, there's been hard times. There's been days where I had to get support from my friends, and there's been times where they have to get support from me. But God wouldn't put us in each other's life if we weren't there to strengthen each other. I feel like God also started to weed out the sheep from the goats in my life. I lost a lot of friends, and he also brought back like old friendships into my life, and it was such an amazing thing for me. Like, it was exactly what I needed in my life. I had a friend of mine that we used to be really close when we were in the world years ago, and we had a fallout, and we hadn't spoken to each other for years. I think probably like 4 or 5 years. And one day she called me. Actually, she reached out to me on social media, even after trying to reach out to other friends of mine, because the way we fell out, I was such an angry girl. Come to find out, apparently I blocked her on everything. I stayed away from her. She couldn't even find my details, but luckily, because I don't use Facebook, I didn't have time to go and block her on there. We were just laughing because it was so stupid. We can't even remember what we argued about. So she messaged me on Facebook and I sent her my number and we talked for hours. We was just talking, and we were so connected in terms of like God. We just trusted each other instantly. Like when you have a sister in Christ, fam, the trust, the bond is unmatched. I'll tell you that much. And apparently God showed her a dream where she saw me in the dream, and God literally showed her my whole entire life. God showed her how I lost weight. I was in a very dark place. I was sad. I was very, very much in a low space, and the dream scared her so much that she just had to reach out to me. This is someone that has not spoken to me for years, and come to find out she's one of those people that take her dreams very seriously. And I was in that space where I needed to learn more about my dreams, and she's like the light when it comes to understanding dreams. Like the way this girl talks about or understands dreams is ridiculous. I would definitely be bringing her onto this podcast one day. She already said yes, she can't change her mind. But that friendship is a true definition of iron sharpens iron. Like I'm normally the one that people come to for answers. It was so refreshing, and it's like God knew what I needed. Like I have no problem being the friend that people come to. That's literally why if I can help, I will be the first person to help. But I feel like it's not, I don't have someone that I can do that with. A lot of the time they don't give me the answers that I'm looking for. I don't know how to explain it, because when you're so far high up, I don't know how to explain it, guys. It's so difficult to explain. But I felt like she was one of those people that I could actually go to. And I pray that I'm also the same thing for her, because she's also a little bit like me, where people always come to her for answers. So yeah, we'll definitely have her on the podcast one day. Very, very crucial information. she's such an amazing person. And yeah, I do have other really good friends that God has kept in my life, and he made sure that I either I influenced them and knew who not to be influenced by. I've stayed out of trouble. I've not found myself in situations I didn't want to be in. I don't have drama in my life, as you see me. So I even used to say all the time, like whenever I used to go out, I used to party, there was always problems. There was always something. So now that I'm just focusing on God and me and my son, I promise you I can go 2 months and I don't remember the last time I argued with anyone. I just keep to myself, and even when they try to argue with me, I just walk away from the situation. I refuse to argue with people. Yeah, so I have a very tight circle. So guys, we are coming to an end of this segment. This is the last part of this segment. I'm so happy that I've done this. This was probably the most scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But I know that this is something that God put in my heart, and I had no choice in the matter. I literally had no choice. He dragged me. It took me 6 months to listen to God about this. Like ever since I moved into this house, 2 months in, he started putting it in my heart. Every day to start a podcast. And I've always been a content creator. I've always loved creating content. But this is not the type of content I used to create. He just wanted me to do this so bad. And I said yes. I bought the mic, set up the page, and here I am. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you had a chance to listen to me today. I pray that this story, or my story, helps someone out there, or even better still, bring someone back to Christ, because he will always welcome you with open arms, like the prodigal son. You are the prodigal son. You are the prodigal daughter. You can always come back to Christ, and he will always take you back in, no matter how far out you've ventured out. So I really appreciate you guys for being here with me today, and I pray that God blesses you and keeps you safe. And goodbye.